Starting tomorrow, jury selection in President Trump's first criminal trial will get underway. Could take days, maybe weeks. The 12 jurors ultimately seated, along with some alternates, will be asked to consider 34 felony counts against the former president in connection with money paid to an adult film star who says she had sex with Trump and then took the money to keep quiet. Each of those counts carries a possible 4-year jail term. Prosecutors are trying a novel legal theory that elevates misdemeanor charges related to falsifying business records to felonies by claiming they were falsified to conceal another crime. The case is expected to take a couple of months. It will not be televised. High-profile witnesses may include former Trump fixer Michael Cohen. The defense will try to paint him as unreliable and self-interested. It's possible former Trump aide Hope Hicks, Stormy Daniels herself, and another woman who claims she had an affair with the president could take the stand, but will the former president? Let's ask someone who could answer that question. Joining me now, attorney for the former president, Will Scharf. Good to see you. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so the president, first of all, let's talk about jury selection. This is an area where Manhattan, roughly 85% of the vote last time around went for President Biden. How tough is it going to be to get a jury you think can be neutral?
Well, I think that's a really important point. At the end of the day, what we're talking about here is a show trial. It's a 6-week-long media extravaganza in the media capital of the world, where the only realistic consequence, even if President Trump were convicted, is frankly a talking point for the Biden campaign. Jury selection is going to be difficult. I have a lot of faith in our team up there that they're going to be able to get the best possible jury. But I think it's really important to note that the fact that this case is being brought at the height of election season makes the process of picking a jury even more difficult, makes the possibility of having a biased jury even more likely. And that's a real problem.
Well, the president a couple of days ago said he'd be okay taking the stand. There are those out there who say, one legal analyst said, if he was my client, I'd beg him not to do it. Michael Cohen, who is also expected to be on the stand, is skeptical the president will take the stand. Here's what he said last night.
The likelihood of Donald Trump being on the stand is equal to the likelihood of me waking up tomorrow 7'6" and playing center for the New York Knicks. It's not going to happen. The one thing that, every time Donald opens his mouth, you know that something non-truthful is coming out of it. We also know that he's not a good defendant. He's not a good witness.
He does tend to get frustrated with judges, with attorneys in the courtroom. He's given to hyperbole at times. This is different than a campaign stop or a press conference. I mean, it's under oath. Would he take the stand? And do you have any worries about that?
I think that's going to be a decision for President Trump and the trial team, depending on how the trial progresses. I would say that I think if he does take the stand, President Trump will be a compelling witness. He did nothing wrong here. The truth is absolutely on his side. So that's a decision that's going to have to be made down the road. But one way or the other, I have full confidence in both President Trump and the team that he has around him.
How worried are you about Michael Cohen? Because he says people are going to be surprised by some of what they're going to hear. He says he's not the linchpin to this whole thing. In fact, Lena Davis, who's been a legal advisor to him, says this: the case against Trump involves multiple witnesses besides Cohen to corroborate the crime of paying illegal hush money under New York law, as well as under federal law, backed up by multiple witnesses, documents, text messages, telephone call records, and documents. You guys clearly are going to go after Cohen, but he says it's not just me. There are all kinds of other things that will back up my story.
Well, look, and I'm somewhat limited in what I can say here because of the wildly unconstitutional gag order entered against President Trump by Judge Merchan in this case, which just goes to show how outrageous this whole process has been. With respect to Michael Cohen, as we've said consistently in pleadings, this is a man who numerous courts have found guilty of perjury in the past. And I think ultimately the jury is going to have to weigh the credibility of the various witnesses. But I truly believe the truth is on President Trump's side, and there's nothing that any of these witnesses or anything the New York DA can do to change that basic fact.
Would the legal team consider this idea that's being floated out there of when you get to the jury, before they get to deliberations, asking for lesser included offense, meaning giving them an opportunity to say, we will convict on misdemeanors instead of these felonies? Or do you guys want to go for broke as felonies or nothing?
Well, one of the craziest things about this case, and you teased this a little bit in your intro, is the fact that what we're dealing with here are misdemeanor offenses that through this weird legal alchemical process, Alvin Bragg has attempted to convert into felony offenses. If these were merely misdemeanors, there's no question the statute of limitations would not allow this case to have been brought in the first place. So that's a real legal problem with the case itself, and I expect that that will play out in court in the coming weeks.
Okay, and we're out of time, but I know that you are part of the Supreme Court decision or case that's going to be argued on the immunity issue, too. We'll have you back to talk about that.
Would love that.
Will
Thanks a
Scharf,
lot.
thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.